Hello traders! In this video I'm gonna show you how to draw the correct trend lines and levels of support and resistance, because we have a lot of questions that you don't know exactly how to find the correct trend lines and the correct levels of support and resistance. So without further ado, let's begin and let's go to the charts to show you how you must draw your charts. As you know, the trend lines are not just some lines. There are strict rules that you must follow when you draw your trend lines and level of support and resistance. Okay, the first thing you have to do is to start with the weekly chart. Okay, now I'm gonna draw the British pound versus US dollar, and I'm gonna start with the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, you must draw your monthly levels and your weekly levels of support and resistance. And what are the monthly levels? They are the historical levels that the price has been over the past 6-7 years. Okay. The first thing, let's see, this is from 2014. And this is the highest point where the price has been since 2014. And if I make my level here, you can see that here we have touching this price, and here again. This will be our monthly level of resistance. This is the highest point where the price has been over the past 6-7 years. Okay, where will be my level of support, the monthly level of support? Here you can see that in March 2020, the price has been on the lowest point over the past 10 years. I'm gonna make it exactly there. Here it is. And this is our monthly levels of support and resistance. The next thing you have to do is to make your weekly levels of support and resistance. And these levels, these are where the price has made the biggest movements from there and where the price has made a lot of pushbacks. So if we make our level here, we can see that in 2010 we have a very strong pushback from this level. There it is. In 2018 we have two pushbacks here, and if we make our level a little lower, there we can see another pushbacks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can say that this is very strong weekly level. Let's make this weekly. And where we can make another weekly level of support and resistance. Let's try this level over here. Here you can see, here we have touching the level once, twice. Here we have another touching the level. Here again, here, here, here as well. Here we have a pushback as well. So this is our next level of support. Here it was a resistance, here is a support, and now it's a resistance again. Okay, where we can make another weekly level. If we try here, here we have a touching of the level, here as well, here, here as well. And this is our next weekly level of support and resistance. Can we make another one? Let's see. Probably here. And see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this way you're marking the most strong levels of support and resistance where the price has made a strong pushback, or the price has broken this level and tested. And this is our weekly levels of support and resistance. The next thing you must do on weekly time frame, after we marked our weekly and monthly levels of support and resistance, it's time to go to the daily time frame and to mark our daily levels of support and resistance. The daily levels are only the last highs and the last lows of the price, where we don't have a weekly level or a monthly level. In this case, I'm gonna use the horizontal ray, and here you can see this is a high where it's not near the weekly or the monthly level. So this is our daily level of resistance. Okay, we can make another one here, because on this low we don't have a weekly or monthly level. And the last one is here, which is the lowest point on this currency pair ever. Okay, this is again our daily level. And what you have to do now is to go on 4-hour time frame and to draw only swing levels. What is a swing level? The swing level is only the last high or low when the price has broken the previous structure. What I mean by this, I'm gonna take the rectangle, and here you can see the price has broken this structure, and I'm only selecting the week of this high this week. Okay, this is our swing level. And why we draw these swing levels? We draw them because in most of the times when the price breaks the previous structure, it comes back to test it and then makes a new impulse wave. And in this case, you can see the price has broken this high over here, and now it's coming back to test it, and probably we are gonna see another impulse wave here. If the price breaks this high over here, we don't need a swing level over here, because this is very close to the monthly level, and when we have a monthly level or a daily level or a weekly level, we don't need the swing levels. We also need them when there are no strong levels of support and resistance. Okay guys, this is the correct way to draw your levels of support and resistance. Now I'm gonna show you how to draw your trend lines. When we draw our trend lines, we're gonna start with the weekly chart, because on weekly chart or the daily chart or 4-hour chart, there are different trend lines. Okay, what are the rules for the trend lines? You must draw your trend lines by two adjacent highs or lows, depending on the trend. So, in this case, we are gonna start. Let's see how the chart is moving. First, here we have a high, and this is the second high. And if you draw your trend line, it's gonna look first like this. But as you can see, here the price is breaking this trend line, so it's not valid anymore. What you have to do is to make another one from this high to this high. And remember, you must draw them correctly. The trend lines don't have to cross a bodies of the candles, just like this. Clearly you can see that the price is making lower highs and lower lows, and it's downtrend, but you have to make them correctly, just on these highs over here, perfectly on the wicks. And here you can see we have a first point on this weekly trend line. This is our second point, and this is our third point. What you can do is just to adjust it a little bit, something like this, but the trend line should not be crossed with the body of the candles. This is now our correctly trend line, which is still valid because it hasn't been crossed and tested. So I'm gonna make it just like this. and this is our first weekly trend line. Then here we can see that the price is making a strong down movement, so we need to know that we must draw another trend line. Let's see, from this high to the second one. First, the trend line was just like this, from here to here and through here. This is our third point. And when the price has made 3 pushbacks from a trend line, now this trend line is confirmed and is valid. And here you can see that the price breaks the trend line and it's not valid anymore. So we don't need this trend line now. And we can make a new one, which is from the next high to the second high. This trend line is valid because it hasn't been broken yet and the price has never touched it again, so this is a valid trend line. But here we can see that the price is making a strong bearish impulse, but there are no high that we can use here to make our trend line. Remember, you must have an impulse wave and a correction, and again an impulse wave and a correction, and there should be a high, a clear high, just like this or this. We cannot say that this is a high to make our weekly trend line, because the correction should be at least with 4-5 candles. This is gonna be a trend line, but on a daily time frame. And now I'm gonna go to the daily time frame to make our daily trend lines. Remember, they're different and it has the same rules, but you must know on which chart is the trend line. That's why I'm naming this. This is the weekly, because the weekly trend lines are much stronger than the daily trend lines, and the daily trend lines are stronger than the 4-hour trend lines. So here you can see that we have only weekly descending trend line because we are in a downtrend. We don't have an ascending trend line. Now let's move to a daily time frame and to make our daily trend lines. Now what we have to do to make our daily trend lines. Let's start with this high over here. First, the price is making an impulse wave, a correction, and here is a high from which you can make your daily trend line. But you can see that the price has broken this trend line and it's not valid anymore. So you're gonna start not from the first high, but from the second to the third, just like this. And you can adjust it a little bit, but again, the trend line should not be crossed with the bodies of the candles. So here we have the first high, the second, the third, and if you make it just like this, you can see there is a fourth pushback from this daily trend line. This is very important because if you don't make the correct trend lines, you can never see a pushback from the trend line or breaking the trend line and testing it. So we are naming this daily trend line. And what we can do here, again, we can make ascending trend line this way, this time, from this low over here. And here you can see there is the impulse and the correction. And this is now a correct trend line. It's gonna be a daily one. And from here, if the price breaks this daily trend line, makes a higher high than this one, and if it comes back to test the monthly level and the daily trend line, this is gonna be a confirmed trend line and we are gonna expect a new bullish movement. Something like this. If not, if the price breaks this daily trend line and comes back, probably it's gonna be again to the daily trend line and we'll make another bearish impulse wave. That's why the trend lines are so important. As you can see, the price is touching very perfectly the correct trend lines. Okay, and the last thing you should do now is to go on 4-hour time frame and to draw a trend lines here as well. So first, here we have a trend line from the first low over here to the second one. And if here the price has made a pushback and a new bullish impulse wave, this is gonna be a confirmed trend line. But here the price breaks it, comes back to test it, there it is, and starting to make a new bearish impulse wave. So this is not a valid anymore, we don't need it. What we can make then from this pushback on from the daily trend line has starting to make a bearish impulse wave, and we should make our trend line just like this. And what you can see here we have a first point of this trend line, the second one here is confirmed, this is the third touching of this trend line, and here the price breaks it and comes back to test it, and it makes a new bullish impulse. So we don't need that anymore. And we are expecting now that the price probably is gonna make from here, as we said, touching this daily trend line, a new bullish impulse wave, or breaking the trend line, testing the trend line, another point on this daily trend line, a new bearish impulse wave. So guys, this is the correct way to draw your trend lines. Now I'm gonna make another chart here, and it's gonna be the Bitcoin. Again, we are gonna start with the weekly time frame, and we have to make our monthly levels of support and resistance, and the weekly levels, and the weekly trend lines as well. So let's see what we have here, which is gonna be our weekly level of resistance. Obviously, it's gonna be the highest point ever the Bitcoin has made. It's 69,000. This is our monthly level. This is the historical point that the price has ever been. Another level is gonna be here on this high over here. And if we adjust it a little bit, you can see that we have touching this monthly level here again. And from here, probably, we are gonna expect that the price, it's gonna make a pushback, or it's gonna test it, or it's gonna break it, test it, and go down. Something like this. Okay, which are the weekly levels? Let's see. The first one is gonna be here, around 29,000. A bit higher probably. And here we can see that the price is breaking this level, coming back to test it, and made a new very strong bullish impulse wave. And here we have touching the level once, twice, for the third time, and here the price is breaking the level, testing it, and makes a new bearish impulse wave. So this is one of our weekly levels. Where is gonna be our next weekly level? Let's see where we can make weekly level. Well, here the price around 47,000. Here you can see the first breaking of the level, coming back to test it, again second test, there you go, and there is the breaking of the level, and now this level is a resistance, Here the price is breaking it again, but here the price tested the level, then it breaks it and comes back to test it again. So this is very important level as well. And from this level you can see the very strong bearish impulse wave. Okay, now how to draw our trend lines. You can see here is the impulse wave, this is the correction, and this is the new impulse wave. So our trend line is gonna be just like this. And what we can expect from the Bitcoin is either to make a pushback from the trend line again and to make new bearish impulse, or if it breaks it from the monthly level here, if it breaks it, to comes back to test the weekly level and a new bullish impulse wave. This is on the weekly time frame. Now let's move to a daily time frame and to make our daily trend lines and levels of support and resistance. Okay, now where is gonna be our daily levels of support and resistance? The first one is gonna be on this high over here. The second one is gonna be on this high over here. And let's see, do we need another daily levels? Yeah, we can make this level from here, and you can see that the price has broken this level and comes back to test it again, very close to the weekly trend line. Okay, down here we don't need the level because this is the monthly level, and as we said, when you have a monthly or a weekly level, you don't need a daily level as well. So this is our daily levels. They're very important because you can see a pushback from there, or the price to breaks them and to test it. And from here, probably if the price is starting to make a new bullish impulse, the first one is gonna be to here, the next one here, probably testing it, and to the weekly level. Okay, let's see, do we need some daily trend lines? In this case, first our trend line was from here, just like this. Then the price breaks this trend line, and here we had a trend line just like this, but it's not valid anymore. And here the price is in some kind of range, so here we cannot draw a daily trend line. Let's go now to the 4-hour chart and see what we can draw there. Okay, as we said, we need the trend lines here and only swing levels of support or resistance. So okay, so you can see the range here, and there is no way we can draw our trend lines here. Here we have a low, lower low, higher low, then again lower low. So we don't need a trend line just like this. And let's see if we can make a descending trend line. It should be just like this, but it's not valid. You can see the price breaks this trend line. So we don't need this one, and we cannot make a 4-hour trend line here. So let's see about the swing levels. What we said, the swing level is the last high or low which the price breaks and is coming to test it. So in this case it was this high over here. This was our swing level, and now the price is breaking it. Probably it's gonna push back from this area. We cannot make our ascending trend line just like this, because I'm explaining, this is an impulse wave. Because it breaks this structure, this structure and it's making a retracement, but we cannot say that this is the end of the retracement yet, because the new impulse wave has not started yet. If from here we see that the price is making the new impulse wave, it's gonna be our low, and we can expecting the price to come back to this trend line, and if it push back, this is gonna be a confirmed 4-hour trend line. But we are gonna see this in the next week. So this is the chart that should looks like for now. This is the correct trend lines and the correct levels of support and resistance. So remember, you must draw your trend lines by 2 adjacent highs or lows, and the price should not cross the bodies of the candles. This is very important. On the 3rd, 4th or 5th pushback, there are manipulations, and the big participants crosses the trend line, and if it goes back in the same direction, this is just a fake breakout and it's counted as a pushback. You should make your trend lines on weekly time frame, on a daily time frame, and 4-hour time frame. This is very important because the trend lines are different. They are not just some lines. And for the levels of support and resistance, you should mark your monthly level, which is the highest point and the lowest point of the price for the past 6-7 years. You must draw your weekly support and resistance levels, because from there the price has made very strong impulse waves, and you can expect that the price is gonna push back again or gonna break it and test it and make a new impulse. It doesn't matter on the trend. And on a daily time frame, you should make your daily levels where there is no weekly or monthly level. And the last thing, on the 4-hour time frame, you should make your swing levels, which is the last high or low which has been broken, and expect the price to come back to test it. Okay guys, follow us for more educational videos like this. Next week we are gonna upload another video with a strategy, so stay tuned. Bye bye.